Hi, my name is Joseph Shannon. I have a law firm called Shannon Law Group. One of the things we do is help people with wrongful death cases. Now, you may ask yourself, what is a wrongful death case? Well, if you've had somebody that's been killed by the negligence or recklessness of another, the Illinois legislature has set up a thing called the Wrongful Death Statute and a Survival Act statute. What happens in these types of cases is, if your loved one was killed by the wrongful conduct, that is negligence, recklessness, intentional conduct, whatever, then just because they died or passed away doesn't mean they lose a right to a cause of action. Now, who can recover in these types of actions? The surviving spouse or next of kin, which means children. However, if somebody died without a surviving spouse or without children, then brothers and sisters can get involved as well as their parents. So, this is the basic part of a wrongful death case. A person goes to a law firm. The law firm takes a look at the facts of the case. Typically, it involves some sort of traumatic event, either a car crash, motorcycle crash, somebody gets hit as a pedestrian, workplace injury, that type of thing. If there's a surviving spouse, that means that the surviving spouse can recover all of the damages that would be entitled to for that person. So, for example, if your husband was killed in a car crash and you're left with all of the obligations behind, in fact, the wage earner has passed away. In that type of situation, if you go to a lawyer and he'll take a look at the case to see whether or not there was negligence. We handle these types of cases all the time. Typically, I'll give you an example of a recent one we had. We had a fella who was a worker, and he was at his workplace, and a truck backed into him and over him, killing him. He survived for some time, but then he passed away. He would have two different causes of action. He would have a case under the Wrongful Death Act in Illinois, as well as the Survival Act. The Survival Act would cover the initial injury that he had, as well as the loss of economic damages, which include medical bills and lost wages, as well as the pain and suffering, loss of the normal life, and disfigurement he had for that time he was living. He would also have a wrongful death case, and that would belong to the surviving spouse or next of kin. In those type of cases, the people that survive would be able to recover the loss of pecuniary damages that were incurred. For example, if it was a spouse, the loss of services that they lost, as well as any pecuniary loss. That's the loss of love, affection, that type of thing. So it depends on the relationship that the person had with the person who passed away, which is called the decedent. So in these types of cases, you typically in Illinois have 2 years to file a wrongful death case. So typically what has to happen is an estate has to be opened. The estate then sues on behalf of the next of kin, and then the case is brought and filed in the circuit court, which is the proper place in the county or the proper place it should be brought. It's brought against the responsible people who caused it. So typically, in our example that I gave you earlier, where we represented the fellow that got backed over, basically in that type of case, the case is brought against the bad driver, negligent driver, reckless in some cases, as well as his employer or the person who was in charge of him. A lot of times it's a corporation, because the corporation can only act through people, and therefore the corporation is responsible for any negligence or recklessness of the person. They can also be responsible for intentional conduct if it's inside the scope of employment and that person was actually employed at the time. So I hope that helps as far as what is a wrongful death case and a survival act. If you have any questions about wrongful death cases, you can reach us at 312-578-9501, or you can text me directly at 312-847-2428. That's 312-847-2428. You can also go to our website at shannonlawgroup.com. Our goal at Shannon Law Group is to represent people and advocate for them zealously. However, our goal also is to educate you on what your rights and responsibilities are in these types of cases. So you'll typically find not only information that may be helpful to you, but also free books. One of the books that I wrote is called Transportation Law. I wrote this so that you can actually download a copy of it from our website, or we'll send you a copy free of charge so that you can be educated yourself on what your rights are in a type of case where somebody was reckless or negligently injured you or a loved one. So if you want one of those, you can text me directly at 312-847-2428 and we'll send you a copy to the address that you give us. I hope that you found this video helpful, and I hope that you're able to find the answers that you need to help you in your situation. Have a great day.